This is Heated Conversation on Sports Radio 610. I'm your host, Booker T. And right now I'm here with this big interview I've been talking about all week.
You've been pumping it up, Book.
Pumping it up. It's been on Twitter. It's been on Facebook. It's been on Instagram. It's been on SOS. You know, I've been sending them smoke signals. Everything. Been letting everybody know about this big interview. Want to welcome to the studio my man, Dwight Howard. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to, sit in front of one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
You know, they say that. You know what I mean? They say
people are talking.
I'm not. You can add them, but that's what they say, man. I'm not sure if it's true. I just always went out there and tried to be my best. Just like yourself, go out there. That's the best you could do. Go out there and be your best. That's what my mother told me. But I want to say thank you, first and foremost, for coming into the station, sitting down with me. I know this is not something that you do a whole lot of.
I would love to do this a lot. I love to talk. I love to have fun. So being on the radio.
Yeah, I saw you doing the nay-nay on Instagram. I think you made that famous. You know what I mean? I think you put. What's up on that?
That's what a lot of people say. Actually, the group. Every time I see them, they're like, "Man, thank you, man," because you really put us on the map. And I was just, when I heard it, I was like, man, for some reason, this song, and I really kept trying to get the dance down, and it take a while. So once you get it, it's like a breath of fresh air.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
It's crazy.
I saw you. I think you posted it on Instagram or something like that, didn't you?
Did.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you had so many thousands of views on it. I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. I need to do something like that.
Well, you got the spin already, Book.
It doesn't work. It doesn't get that many views. I mean, it had thousands of views, man. But from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
I spent some time in Atlanta, Georgia myself. I had a brother on a few weeks back, Omar Darcy. He's an actor who played in the movie Selma. I had him on here a few weeks back, and he was telling me how hard it was for him growing up in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. But yourself grew up with a father, Dwight Sr., Georgia State Trooper, Cheryl Howard, played basketball, Morrison Brown College. You had two influential parents. First and foremost, I got to give them a lot of credit for creating yourself. But what was it like for you growing up in Atlanta, Georgia?
Oh, well, I grew up on the south side of Atlanta, which is considered College Park, Georgia. And it's a pretty rough neighborhood, but, I was well respected because my dad was a cop. That kind of kept me out of a lot of trouble. But the community was great. I was surrounded by apartment complexes, about 3 or 4 complexes around my house. And everybody would come to my house and play basketball. And at the time, I was the smallest one, So even though it was my court, they roughed me up every day. But I had my rules, So when I was playing or when anybody came over, it was no cussing. And it was just strictly basketball, But they really taught me the ropes, They really did, some great things for me, which I use today.
No cursing. That goes back to your parents, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, my mom, she didn't want to hear all that cussing while we were outside playing basketball, so I had to enforce it.
Yeah, I've been having, for the last month, I had Black History Month and was talking about how important it is to have, the mother and the father in the household growing up. Raising that kid. Myself, I grew up in a single-parent household. I didn't have that father. I'm a single parent, raised a son, and that mother wasn't in the house for him. So it still was, that something that was missing. Definitely, I got to say again, give a lot of credit to the parents, man. I see you got into basketball seriously around the age 9.
Oh, yeah. I played all sports.
Yeah.
But it was just something about basketball that, kept me going, just being on the floor, working out. I love to train, So, and I told my dad, at 10, I said, I'm going to make it to the NBA. And that was my goal, So I worked hard every day. I stayed at the gym late. My dad actually built the court when we moved from College Park to East Point. He built a little half court for me. And I just stayed out there all night. When it got too dark, I would use a little flashlight just to work on my game. And we had this long hill, and I would just do sprints every day. And that's how it,
were you
kinda helped me out.
were you a natural athlete, or did you really have to work that hard to develop it?
With everything, you have to work hard, but it kind of came easy for me. Baseball was pretty easy, track was fairly easy, but that stuff got boring, and I just wanted to play basketball.
Yeah.
And that's what I stuck with.
And that brings me to McDonald's High School All-American. McDonald's top 35 all time. That right there, to be able to do something like that, that's actually stepping to another level. Even from a high school kid, to step into that level, you're playing with the best kids from all around the country, and it tells you how good you really are. And then to actually be, top 35 of all time, that says a whole lot. And then to forego college, to step right into the NBA. Right. How hard was that transition right there?
It was different because I went to a super, super small school. And we only had 16 people in my graduating class. Nobody thought I would ever make it to the NBA. And that's all I would hear is the naysayers every day, walking around my neighborhood playing basketball. And everybody was saying you would never make it to the NBA. And I wanted to be that guy, to represent my school, to put my school and my city on the map. So it was hard, making that adjustment from being in that little bubble, at my school to going into the world. It was a whole new experience for me, traveling, playing in different cities every night, playing with grown men. The first thing that caught me off guard. I remember my first summer league game was against this guy named Ruben Boonje. Crazy name.
I like him already.
He looked like he was 35 years old. I'm 18. I'm like, this dude is big. So we get out there, and he's pushing me around. I'm like, man, I can't take this, man. These guys, just pushing on me. I said, you know what? I'm gonna get in this weight room. I'm gonna eat weights every day. And I came back the next year, and I was doing the pushing. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey, man, that's what you got to do. And that's the part for me that makes me wonder. I mean, making that jump is almost like, going, a college player, trying to play in the pro game. It's just something that's totally different. You got to develop getting to that point right there. And obviously did pretty good getting in the gym, training. If you ever want to come down to the gym and train with me at 9189 Winkler Street, let me throw that out
Sweet
there.
C.
Sweet C. You definitely can come down and train with us. But you got drafted to the Orlando Magic. Went there and you played there for a long time, 2004 to 2012. What made you leave there first and foremost?
Well,
I know I was reading the last couple of years, got a little hectic, but
it did.
Yeah,
it did. But at the time, it was a whole bunch of things going on, on the inside. And, I just felt like I needed a change. I was in Orlando for so long, and it was basically like I really grew up in Orlando because, coming out of high school, I had to learn a whole new city and a whole new state. And I developed, friendships and, just bonds that, I'll never forget, with the people in Orlando. And it was very, very hard to leave, On the basketball side, after we went to the finals, they got rid of our whole team. And, I was super upset about it because I didn't even know what was going on. I wake up, get off a plane, and the next thing I know, it was kind of like the saddest day in the world. They traded Courtney Lee, Hito Turkoglu, and everybody. And then it was the same day Michael Jackson died. So I was like, oh, man. The Kings, it was just I was all messed up. And after that, I was like, man, I really want to make it work here, but, I really didn't see a future. And I tried to go about it, very quiet. I sat down with the general manager of the team, and I asked him before it got really crazy and everybody, starts to talk about it. Could he trade me to another team? And he said, sure. So I'm thinking, everything was going to go by easy. And next thing you know, it got out to the public, and Dwight hates the city and all this stuff. And that was the one thing that I didn't want to happen because I had no ill will towards no person or anything in Orlando.
It's like that a lot of times, when you've been somewhere for a long time, and it's time for you to leave. It's just like Andre Johnson, going to be leaving the city, and a lot of people upset about it. I'm like, man, he ain't winning no championships.
Yeah.
They ain't surrounding him with the right players.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up out of here too. If I was him, So definitely, I understand. You got to make a decision, and sometimes you got to make a decision for yourself and your family. You got to think about yourself. Definitely admire you for that. Moving on, you went to the Lakers, and we definitely want to touch on you being in the city of bright lights, paparazzi, all the stars come out in L.A. We want to talk about that here in a minute. So stick with us. Coming up next, Dwight Howard right here in the studio, Sports Radio 610. If you want to listen online, that's sportsradio610.com. We'll be back in a minute.